What is up, y'all? It is your host, Rennie, and you're listening to another episode of the Call Me Crazy podcast. Hello, guys. So I am here today starting off the new series, which is called Mahal Kita. For any of you who don't know, Mahal Kita in Tagalog means I love you. And I'm starting this series about love, and in doing so, I realized I was coming out with my jewelry collection, the Mahal Kita collection with Anita & Co. right at the same time. So it just felt perfect to, name the series, the Mahal Kita series, and it's just like a fun spin on the word love, which is often used, which is fine. But yeah, so today I have Na'im here with me, and we met not too long ago. I feel like what was that, last week?
September 1st.
September 1st, yeah.
Everybody got into Senegal, yeah.
Yeah, so we were on a group trip hosted by Jet Black Travel in Senegal, which is West Africa, right? Mm-hmm. Yes. And I think the first day we met, we got into some really deep conversation. I was like, I want to have you on my podcast.
Yes.
And it just didn't work while we were there. I had gotten sick the night that we wanted to film, and I could not bring myself to do it. I had chills. I was my stomach hurt and just emotionally drained that day. But we're here now. Is it often in your travels that you meet people who are from or live near New York too?
Well, that was my first time to Africa, to the continent.
Yeah, but I mean just when you travel,
When I travel? Actually, yeah, because a few times I went to South Carolina. There's people migrating out of New York a lot into the South, and I go down there often, and I see a lot of people who are actually from Harlem or from New York City, and so yeah, I find a lot of New Yorkers around the world.
I feel like we were the only ones though on that specific
on that trip.
Yeah,
there wasn't anyone else except Muhammad, who moved down south. So
he was actually in Connecticut for a little bit.
Oh, okay.
I believe, yeah. But yeah, so I mean, thank God, out of everyone I didn't get to connect with for the podcast, you are here and close.
You're right, an hour away. It's very convenient.
So I tuned into your podcast the other day while I was in traffic, and
appreciate that.
Of course, you have under I actually watched it on the YouTube live, and you have it under the Love Doctor.
Yes, actually a name that was given to me multiple times by different people when I come on. 'Cause I've been on podcasts for over 5 years, and people just keep calling me that, so I just received it.
Okay.
So yeah, I didn't call myself that. That was the public gave me that name. Just to be clear, because I never profess to be an expert on love. I'm just someone who likes critical thinking and asking questions to get people to think about it a little differently. Because last I checked, the way a lot of us have been conditioned most of us have been conditioned to practice love in relationships doesn't work. It's toxic. So, but we're familiar with that. So I can claim being an expert on being the toxic side of relationships, but the love and healthy side, I'm a work in progress like everybody else.
Okay. I respect it. Tell us a little bit about you, what you do, and a little bit about your books.
Well, I have 13 books published around the topics of healthy relationships and healing toxic relationships. That's the website, if you want to throw that across the screen, or it's easy to remember. It's healingtoxicrelationships.com, y'all, so easy.
Wow, when did you scoop that one up? A minute ago,
actually,
had to be.
2 birthdays ago, on my birthday.
Oh, so not that long.
It was a perfect birthday gift, yeah. And I said, let me get that for 5 years, that domain name, and I built it out. So it's a nice, clean, straightforward website. Has the links to the podcast, the YouTube, online courses, materials, Amazon, so you can reach out and find everything there. Awesome. Most things.
Yeah, so we'll link that down below. 13 books in a span of how long?
5-6 years.
5-6 years?
Yeah, I would say 6. Yeah.
Okay.
But I've written more books than that. I just published those 13, and They all have to do with, so the first trilogy was Trust, Love, Communications, TLC. So it's about trust, about, actually here's one here. This was my editor's edition, but Trust is Not a Game. So the is not a game is like a series. So there's 3 of them. Trust is not a game, love is not a game, and communication is not a game. So those 3 are like manuals for seeing those things differently. Trust,
and
love.
The website has the link to buy the hard copies
stuff.
and stuff. Okay, awesome. And so when in your healing journey specifically did you feel like you were ready to then write and publish and share such knowledge?
December 24th, 2015.
Okay.
That was the day I started writing, and that was the day I told myself I'm ready to heal and share that with the world. And so I started, because for 5 years before that I've been studying and learning and studying universal principles about love and healthy relationships. Because what I found is that a lot of times we have our own subjective opinions about what love and healthy relationships are. But it's like if you I have more of a scientific thinking mind, so it's like if you go to a doctor and say, doctor, I have a stomach ache, I feel like, it might have been because I watched a TV show that was scary last night or something. It's like you could feel however you want to feel, but that might not be the cause of your stomach ache. It might or might not, but there's a reason that your stomach is hurting, and the doctor or the professional or the scientist's purpose is to find the cause and effect relationship between the problem and, the solution, but why you have the problem. So diagnosing the toxicity in our relationships is something that really struck me. I said, I need to figure out why relationships go south and go sour so easily. And I found that answer, and I basically compiled the universal principles in my books, and I just share it in plain language, and not in a way that it's like, this is the there's no other way of looking at it, because I'm like, there's plenty of ways to look at it, but this is just another way of looking at it.
Right.
So it's not the only right way. There's plenty of ways to go about it, but mine is more so question and bringing out the wisdom that's inside all of us. So I teach this to children, and they get it, because I just ask them simple questions like, okay, you heard negative and positive, love and fear. Let's say you have, and I'm going to ask you the same thing I asked like 5-year-olds. So if you have a love side, which is the healthy feelings, and then the fear side, which is the unhealthy feelings, what would you say is under the category of anger, love or fear?
Fear.
What about happiness?
Love.
What about guilt and shame?
Fear.
About innocence and joy?
Happiness.
So you see, it's simple, right? It's like it's either healthy or it's not healthy.
Right.
And just because we all experience the unhealthy ones doesn't mean something's wrong with us. It's just there's no pain in love. There's no guilt and shame in love. That rhymes. It's a soundbite right there.
No, it's very true. And like you said, we get accustomed to and we see something happen in one sort of way. And more often than not, passion and pain are kind of coexisting and accepted, which shouldn't be. Love should be easy, and it should be, all the things you just mentioned.
Healing.
Yeah.
It's an addiction. We have an addiction to toxicity, and that's why the purpose of my work is, which is Love 101. The company is called Love 101, like, English 101, French was like the beginning.
Like a class.
Yeah. And so it's laid out like that as a curriculum that anyone can take and learn and master, because we say that love is a mindset and a skill set that can be learned and mastered, not just my feeling about it, because my feelings can change. But just like you can go to take up communications or business in school, my goal is to have love as a actual curriculum, or healthy relationships as a curriculum that you can learn in school and master. And I have brought this to the universities and different places like that too.
That's incredible. So, going back to the analogy that you gave of like the stomach pain and going to the doctor, do you believe in order to diagnose your trauma, you can only do that through going to a professional and finding out that root cause?
No, that's a way. But there's many ways. I mean, you name it, then there's no limit to the amount of ways you can find your path or your way or your trauma or your triggers or whatever, your pain. It comes down to deciding to do something about it, though. Because a lot of times we say, oh, I'm a seeker, I'm seeking. But at some point you got to find, though. You know, some of you's like, oh, I'm a seeker, I'm seeking truth, I'm seeking this. It's like, okay, but yeah, I know my hair is probably.
No worries.
Let me run that back real quick. So at some point we got to go from seekers to finders. So I decided that what I learned about healthy relationships and universal principles, which I learned from A Course in Miracles. If anyone's familiar with that text, you can look it up. I'm not going to go into it here. But I learned that and then put it into plain language. And I'm like, when I came across that set of teachings, I'm like, this makes perfect sense. And I can relate it to myself, and it makes perfect sense. And I see that the problem is not everyone else, it's my thinking. And yes, there are some abusive situations where people are physically, verbally, emotionally, sexually, financially abusive and stuff. But then it comes to the point where recognizing that and then having the courage to face your fears and then go the other way. No, not just continuing to put up with abuse. Because one of my previous books, Healing Toxic Relationships 101, same as the website, has to do with recognizing that after a while, it's not just the other person, which we like to blame, abusing us, it's us using that relationship or them to abuse ourselves. And that's an important shift.
Yeah.
So think
Ouch.
of this. I know. Not to use you, but just to use you for a moment. Let's say that you're a hot stove, right? And I touch you, like, that burns. First time, second time, it still burns. Both hands. Third time, 10th time, burns. 30th time. After the third, fourth time, is it really you burning me, or is it me trying to see is it me using you to burn myself?
Yeah.
You're still a hot stove. This is still a flame.
Wow.
But I'm still putting myself in a position to get burned when I can just, nope, I learned that is hot.
I learned my lesson.
Yeah, you know, and pain, unfortunately, is one of the best teachers we have in this life. It's just very brutal and cruel. Not even cruel, that means intentional. It's just very hurtful and painful and traumatic. And there's other ways to learn lessons, which is why I'm doing this. I'm trying to get people to think. Like, you see what happened to this person when they went down that road. You're not special. It'll happen to you too.
So in terms of the stove, though, I'm wondering about the stove itself. Like, can that person heal?
That's the question. That's what we hold in our mind as enablers and caretakers and givers and all this stuff. We think that we're going to change that person because, oh no, I'm going to just give them another chance, just going to, you know, and it's really hubris and arrogance to think that someone's showing you that, no, you touch me, I'm going to burn you. And you're like, yeah, I know that happened the last 99 times, but this time, because of who I am, because of what I know and my healing journey, and I've got, you know, my incense, and I've got my, you know, my incantations, and I've burned my sage. This 100th time, you're not gonna burn me. I'm going to.
Coming from my life right now. Is he coming from my specific life? Because he said he's not actually using me. He's just using me for the moment. But it feels like the past 4 years of my life. And honestly, you had to mention the sage too. What about the Palo Santo? Like that?
I thought about saying the Palo Santo, but I'm like, that's too specific. More people might be like, "Who you talking about me?" I'm like, yes, but no. Look, I'm talking about all of us, okay? It could be Palo Santo. It could be binging Netflix. It could be alcohol. It could be, you know, just detached sex and hookups. It could be whatever you use to disguise the pain that you have and to think that that you are somehow special and it's everybody else that needs to change, when in fact it's not. Like we all, there's no original problems, you know. We all have the same essential problem in different forms, and it comes up in different ways, but we all have the same issues, and it comes down also to fear of loss, guilt. If you can get somebody to feel guilty, they'll do pretty much anything, you know. That's the reason why we allow a lot of abuse in families and relatives, because we're like, oh well, that's my mom, that's my brother, that's my cousin, that's my aunt, that's my little whatever, so I gotta, even though this person, they done stole money from you, they did stuff that you would have another person put a hit out on them for, but you, but that's my cousin though, that's my little so-and-so, you know. So we enable that type of abuse a lot in relatives and family relationships, because it's our family. So, you know.
That is the truth. I don't know if you remember one of our first conversations, the day that we got in, but I was telling you how I don't unconditionally love it anymore, and especially except the dogs. He remembers. Except the dogs. Yes, they're the only things that I will endlessly give to without receiving necessarily anything of the same stature back, right? Like, they don't feed me, they don't bring me out places, but they do love me unconditionally, and I love them unconditionally. But with humans, like, I found, the guilt turns into me resenting, and once I pull back, there's nothing really to resent unless they are, displacing feelings on me just because I'm setting healthy boundaries for myself.
Right. Because they expect and feel entitled to your bending over backwards or being a doormat for them and their, whatever they want to, extract from you. And unfortunately, that's just, at a certain time it comes down to us, because like you said, the whole conditional, unconditional thing, that's a good point, because even though love itself is unconditional, and I state love, it's in this book somewhere, I'll bring it up, but your decision to join or be around or talk to or continue to relate in a certain way with someone is conditional. Like, you can say, well, if I just started abusing you or verbally accosting you or poking, just doing right now, you like, I'm here, but I'm not going to stay here unconditionally if you're going to keep messing with me, right? So, but we seem to have the line is just so deep when it comes, or so no line at all when it comes to relatives, that it's like, this is my line, don't cross it. They cross it. So I'm going to draw my line right here, don't cross it. All right, it's right here. Now it's up to your neck. All right, don't cross my line. And then you still, so, and when you do draw a firm line and you say, no, I'm not going to support you in that, I'm not going to give you money for that, let you stay here, whatever, then it's like, oh, what happened to you? Why? I thought I was your so-and-so. And it comes down to human nature. And I use the 3 T's for human nature. And this is important. It's tribal, transactional, and territorial. Get my hair out of the mic. I know it's been, okay.
I used to have problems like that all the time, and now I cannot relate.
I see. You got the updo. Yeah.
No, I mean, you met me with what I always say, like, you met me with no hair. I used to have hair down to my butt, like, for all my life.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so I shaved it down to nothing, and I'm coming back around. So.
Okay.
So the triple T's, tell me.
Yeah, you see, we changed my hair.
Changed hair, changed angles.
That's right. So
Come
3,
on now.
Talking about human beings and human animals, because we are animals. We just like to think ourselves civilized. Human beings function in relationships with 3 T's. So one is tribal. The tribe is your family, your first tribe. Then we can extend that to people in your neighborhood, a gang, a political association, military, whatever. Transactional. Most relationships you have with people are transactional, whether it's something you're buying and selling, or work related, but most relationships we have with other people are specifically transactional, like you're giving and receiving something of value to each other. And then the last one is territorial, so we have our territory, and that's what we fight for, that's what we value, and I'll keep it there for now. But those are the 3 T's of relating, of human animals, because humans are social animals, so that's our structure of relating.
So when you talk about teaching and bringing these types of principles and everything to universities, you currently teach though, right?
Yes. Here it is. So you mean like in universities or just in...
just in general, like where are you teaching, how are you teaching, and what are you teaching?
Well, I do the free podcast every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, Feel Good Talk Love 101. I do different workshops and seminars. I do online classes, and there's some that are already there that you can just take. You don't need anyone to be there live for. And I'm also creating a tour where I go to different universities and present this material and also what they're needing at a certain point. So even if it's something involving consent or dating on campus or communication 101 or even active shooter things, because that's unfortunately something that's really big in the United States with mass shootings, and I have background in martial arts and combat science, and so I can cater to all of that. But everything that deals with relationships, like I have a book about cohabitation. It's called Living in Peace, A Guide to Healthy Cohabitation, that I wrote for my brother and sister as they were entering college to deal with roommates, because they hadn't done that before. And then I'm like, let me make this, expand it to for anyone. So in that manual or that guide, it's like everything you need to live with other people in the same space in a healthy way, from having household meetings to chores to quiet hours, just agreeing on things, and it takes 2 hours to go through. So everything that deals with healthy relating with people, that's what I write and teach about. Not just the romantic side, which that is part of it, but there's so much more.
What prompted you to do this work? Like, I feel like everyone can attribute their career, their passion, their why from kind of like a big bang moment of sorts. Was there something like that for you?
It was a series of realizations, and I'm very pain averse. A lot of people have high pain tolerance. I have low pain tolerance. So if something is not working or hurt, I'm like, let's change this now. And having relationships that go sour, or relationships that just become that you're harboring grievances, or that you're feeling that is not comfortable. It's there's some kind of unresolved issues, like that bothers me a lot. And I'm like, why does that have to be? Like, why do relationships switch from being happy to miserable, or on the verge of being like contemptuous and violent? And like, how do people, and I would observe people go from being lovey-dovey to just at each other's throats. I'm like, what was that? What switched in there? That's the thing I wanted to study, the moment where things switch from people being kind and caring to each other to being enemies. So from being partners to being enemies. And I figured that out. But also I looked at the top 10 reasons why people, what they regret, like on your deathbed. Like, I did some research. I'm like, what are things that people regret when they're on their deathbed? And do you think that it was, I didn't make enough money? Or, I didn't work enough overtime? Or, I lost my job? Or, no. Over half of the reasons, like 70, 80% had to do with unresolved issues in relationships. Like, I should have apologized, or I wish I would have told this person what was on my heart, or I should have said this, or should have been there, whatever the case, should have spent more time with so-and-so. And those realizations come flooding back to you in your final moments. I'm like, that must mean that what was really truly the most valuable thing for a happy life was healthy relationships with other people. So I want to get that part settled now, and then making more money and doing all that stuff can come after that, you know? Because if I'm going to have all this material wealth or whatever we're told to seek after, but be miserable and unfulfilled in my relationships and not have people who I truly trust and love around me, then I don't think it's a life worth living. But a life worth living is one where I'm surrounded by people who I give and receive love and trust and communication and, you know, all of that.
Yeah.
So that's what's prompted me.
That's incredible. I want to do a little exercise. Yes. I always say that, you know, whenever... So it took me about like a year to start, I'd say a little under a year to start opening up and talking to people about what happened to me. And like, I've been abused in many different forms by family members and by partners starting to date at a very young age and things of that nature. But this was the first time that I was verbally and physically abused on a consistent basis. And you know, everyone says, oh my God, like, I'm so sorry, like you had to go through that. And I'm like, you know, I receive that and I accept that and I appreciate that. But I always come back with, there was a level of, or a lack of self-confidence and wholeness within me that let such a person waltz into my life and also stay there for so long. At one point, he started to joke around about like how I wouldn't be able to leave unless he wanted me to leave, and if I wanted to leave on my own accord, he killed me. Because I mean, obviously, you're dating a half black, half Puerto Rican man from the Bronx. What did you think this was? Like, we make it a joke. Like, that's not a joke, right? So at that point, I kind of went into like frozone mode, like just frozen in my own reality, and didn't know quite how to get out. Because when someone who you believe, I'm trying to pick my words in the right way, that you believe is capable of such things, says that he will go to everyone you love's house because you've brought him to everywhere. You know, I've brought you to my godfather's house with my godfather, my godmother, and my baby godbrothers. I've brought you to my father's house with my father, my little sister, and my baby brothers. So he would use this against me, this knowledge against me, and just say, I will go and shoot your father in the face and your brothers, and I'll come to the house and kill the dogs, to my house to kill my dogs. So at that point, I was like, all right, I'm going to stay put. I'm going to stay put, and I'm trying to stay calm. Because right now, anything other than that seems like it's not worth it. I'd rather like keep him at bay and try to get my life together, try to save some money, try to get a stable living situation, try to do all these things, and just keep him at arm's length, keep him happy, do whatever he wants me to do, until I'm ready, like until I've gotten some stuff settled. Because he would always also threaten to come into my place of business. You don't want to answer me, Rennie, I'm going to fuck your shit up. You know, your clients are going to think X, Y, and Z of you. And, you know, so I got to a point, to speed this up, I got to a point where I was like, I'd rather die than to live like this. So I'm going to, you know, take steps towards healing. And if I die in the process, I'd rather that than, you know, what's happening. Because again, like you said with the stove thing, he showed me many times that, especially if I pulled away, like that would, like the burn would hurt more. Like if, you know, me trying to casually slip away, like it was like, what the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? Like, oh, I finally care because I feel you slipping. And so it was hard. It was a hard balance to figure out how to do it in a way that wouldn't end in an explosion, especially because of the threats to my loved ones. Like, I was ready to risk my life. Like,
Right.
fuck it, this shit is horrible. Like, but to risk, you know, finally getting out of it and then him killing everyone I fucking love, that was something. And it's still something. And I feel like there's a healthy balance between this maybe setting this individual off because I'm speaking out, but also because I'm speaking out, maybe he won't, because then everyone will know it's him.
I feel you.
But if someone was coming to you with this situation and they were still in it, what would you prescribe them? How would you guide them?
Well, first of all, I would say that it takes an extraordinary amount of courage to even bring this up. So I appreciate you, doing that, because there are many people who are in these situations who don't know what to do, and they at least know that it's not a healthy situation and that they need to leave. They don't know how to get out. And that feeling of being trapped in isolation is terrible. Like you said, it's one thing if it's just you, but then this sociopathic person knows that, oh well, yeah, she might square off against me by herself, but she cares about so and so and so and so, so I'm going to use that as leverage to so and so and this and that. And so this is first I would say that everything that I share, I invite you to just think about it, not to, see me as a expert or that I know better than you. I'm actually the person I'm on the same level as everyone. That's why I say I want partners, not followers. I want people who can see eye to eye, and I'm asking questions and saying, okay, well, how can we critically think through this and to see it a different way? And my question to someone in that situation is, tell me what your deepest fear is. I would ask them, what is your deepest fear? The thing that you're most afraid of happening, and then whatever that is, let's say that, or I'm afraid of them going and hurting my loved one, I'm afraid of them hurting me, I'm afraid of them, whatever the case, going to my place of business. Say, okay, all right, so let's start there from the worst case scenario, and then work our way in, like, what do you want? What do you actually want? Do you want to be relieved of this person? Do you want to be free? Or do you want to, what do you want? And then also, are you willing to be first emotionally uncomfortable, because it's all emotionally uncomfortable, and then possibly physically uncomfortable, meaning to change your life in the span of a day, to go toward what you want. And what you want and why has to be stronger than your fear of whatever it is happening or that could happen. Because yes, a lot of things could happen, and yes, it's scary, but courage doesn't mean it's the absence of fear. It means that you feel the fear, it's present, and you still do what you should do. And in a situation where someone is literally being verbally and like they're making threats against your life and other, that's a issue that you can take higher than a therapist or a counselor or friends. You can go and get some legal and executive help for that. You can find other means to deal with that, because if you go that route and end up going, clashing head to head, if it's going to go there, is it worth it? Like, are you willing to go to jail over this? Are you willing to, go in all-out war against this person? All of these are viable questions. And for grown people, I say, take them at their word. Like, this is what you're saying, so, okay. Now, you have to notice that and then find solutions for it. And that's why I understand where you say, all right, let me not make any moves right now that would trigger this set of events, since that's what they're saying. But I would still silently be plotting the escape plan and the solution. So those would be my first two questions. What is your deepest fear? You got to deal with that. And then what do you want? Because just sticking with the fear is not enough. because we know that's there. But now, what do you want? And are you willing to be uncomfortable for a time? Are you willing to be? You said you said I'm willing to. I'd rather die than deal with this, right?
Yeah.
Like, would you be homeless to deal with this? Would you miss a few meals to deal with this? Like, because some people, or we've been taught that, oh yeah, I want these problems solved, but I want to be comfortable while I'm doing it. I want all of this to happen for me, and I don't want to miss a meal. I don't want to miss a pedicure. I don't want to miss $1. I don't want to miss everything's going to be the same. And no, it's not. Sometimes your life requires drastic changes, and as drastic as that person is threatening you, has to be your willingness to do what's needed in order to correct that situation.
Yeah.
So I'm intentionally not saying exactly what you should do, because there's no one size fit all for the situation. But for each person, what do you fear and what do you want and what are you willing to do about it? Then you can find those people and resources that can support you in that. Because just a conversation is not enough. I would want, if someone's listening and you're in the situation, look for some domestic abuse hotlines. These people are trained. They deal with the situation every day. Like, look, after this conversation, after hearing this interview, go right now. Go on your phone, go on Google, look up this information and find out some resources that are local that you can, share this information with those who deal with this on a day-to-day basis, because there are resources out there. And you being afraid is understandable, and also you are responsible for your own life, and you are also capable of doing what you need to do to help yourself, as you did and as you're doing. And if the person is watching or listening, like, good, because they know that they have not conquered you. They have not won. They have not, their fear and intimidation and all that is not enough, to stop you from speaking the truth and living your life the way you want to live it. And that's all that people who harbor fear want to do. They want to control, because their insecurity and lack of confidence and feeling fully realized is so strong that they need to have their foot on someone else's neck to feel strong, and that's pathetic.
Truly. Yeah. I will say, especially with that advice that you're giving, don't feel discouraged if the first person who picks up the phone isn't talking to you with kid gloves. I've had many cops roll their eyes in my face. I've had, many judges and domestic violence hotline, what would you call this? People and operators like answerers. No. Operators, many of them are overworked, have a caseload that they can't actually truly manage, and sometimes because of that they don't remember why they got into it in the first place, and it's hard. But I say don't feel discouraged, and just have everything in writing. Screenshots are not admissible in court. You have to have that connecting phone number that can prove this is not an altered image. So I just say keep everything, get rid of nothing. I actually thought about deleting messages the other day to help my sanity, but I was like, no. That's good advice. Don't delete anything. Don't delete anything. I want to say 6 months into it, I started taking pictures of myself. Like there was a switch, and there was a time, things were happening very slowly, but things were happening. So, maybe it was 6 months in that he started cheating. Another 6 months in, he started hitting me. And, after another 6 months, I started taking pictures of myself. So honestly, my card was full, so I think it recorded us for 20 minutes. How long did your camera go on for? Do you know?
I didn't look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we might have gotten cut off. It was a gem. If we did get cut off, that was a moment for me and Na'im.
Yes. Do you have another card? Did you switch it?
No, I switched the card, so we're good and ready to go.
Okay.
So I think what we can leave them with and what we can segue into, like you said, is just red flags, green flags, things to look out for.
Yes.
Go ahead, the floor is yours.
All right. So we were talking about on our little intermission, what are some things because death threats came from somewhere. They didn't come from the first date. They didn't come from the second. They built up after a series of violations that may have been small. It's like, that person, rolled their eyes and sucked their teeth, or they slammed that door pretty hard, or, I wonder when I said that comment, or when I wasn't able to make it on time, they just shut down and started being really cold and distant. What's that about?
Yep.
It builds up. And so, people talk, excuse me, we talk about red flags, but what are some green flags, right? And we're talking specifically like romantic relationships and such. There's a acronym I use to give you a basis of what healthy relationships are, which they function, which is, it says it's FACTS, F-A-C-T-S. So they're rooted in F for freedom, A for appreciation, C for communication, T for trust, and S for sincerity. So freedom, appreciation, communication, trust, sincerity. So those are the healthy dynamics that you want to have, right? Those are the green flags. When you're not available, someone's being understanding and saying, okay, we're not available, I'll see you next time.
Yeah, that's that freedom piece. Yeah.
And what about, is this a red flag or green flag? Oh, you didn't, this seems small, but everyone's experienced it at some point. You didn't answer their phone call or their text in the time period. Arbitrary. They never said in writing, I need you to get back to me in 15 minutes. But it's been 15 minutes, 16 minutes, and then you getting all caps text, you getting a bunch of phone calls. Next time you talking to them, what happened? I was worried, so-and-so.
No, it turned very fast from I was worried to whose dick are you sucking? I'm like, what? What? 15? 15, I'm sucking dick? Like, I couldn't have been taking a nap. Dude, I would go to sleep at 7:30, wake up to 37 fucking phone calls, 58 text messages, you fucking whore, who you fucking sucking dick on. Like,
this is off of a nap? Wow.
Like, I can't go to bed at 7:30. You're not that tired. No one's that tired. 7:30 p.m. Who's that tired? Like, me, nigga. Like, what? Me. I've been up since 6. What you mean who's tired at 7:30? Fuck you. Na'im, I have finished all your mangoes. I owe you a mango.
It's okay. I got another pack. Okay. I think you needed those. So, anything I can do to help. It's all about appreciation. No, enjoy it. And no, but red flags, right? Red flags right there. But even before that, like, the representative, we were talking about that on the break too. Like, it's the, polite, kind, happy-go-lucky, caring, doing all the things that are like, wow, it's amazing. But it's like, when does that start wearing away? Is that your character? Are you just someone who's always kind and courteous and understanding? Or is that what you're doing in order to get into the inner fold so that you can now cause destruction? Yes, infiltrate. So red flags, green flags. You're not available and the person understands. How about this is a simple kind of thing. Sometimes we talk about that C part, communication. Sometimes people will say things like, not on the, okay, it's been 15 minutes and now where you at, which, but let's say someone says something like, oh, it's been a day or so, I haven't heard from you. You don't care about me. You don't answer my calls. Oh my God. That could be someone who really cares and misses someone hiding behind that insecurity. So you could say, instead of, oh, you don't care about me, why aren't you answering my calls? Oh, I miss you. I enjoy talking to you. And I love connecting with you. And when are you available? Or things like that. Sometimes you might make a joke and say, someone says, oh, how come you didn't, answer my call? What's wrong? You don't care about me. It's like, is that your way of saying you miss me? Like, It could be, but
Right.
sometimes people don't have the words, and you take your feelings so seriously, like everything is about you. Like just because I'm not available for you in this moment doesn't mean that I'm looking at my phone like Rennie is calling and I'm not answering. It's no one's thinking about you that much. So unless they're a sociopath, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so red flags, green flags. Look out for the way they treat other people, right?
Big key. Big key. I find that so interesting. Actually, an ex-boyfriend of mine, like from high school, his mom, and this her voice and her verbatim like words live in my head till this day. And that was back in high school. I had to be like 15 years old, and she was like, Rennie, the way a man will treat you is reflective of, you know what? I think I'm even elevating her speech now. No shame, but I'm like, this don't sound like her. It sounds like me.
We'll take the paraphrase.
Yeah.
Go ahead. We'll take
It's
the paraphrase.
reflective of how he treats her, his mother, and so treats me like shit. So. Leave. And
wow, she told you that about her son?
Her son.
Okay.
Her firstborn of all things, of all, places to be. Your firstborn, that's supposed to be your baby boy forever. But she was very real with me in the fact that, I found out the first time that he was cheating because he didn't know me and his mom were hanging out alone. Tells us 2 different places of where he's at, and so just in conversation we're hanging out, not giving an F about so and so, and she's like, oh, where's what's his face, and I'm like, oh, he's at a basketball game, and she's like, no, he's not at house. I said, no, look, he's at a basketball game. She said, no, look, he's at house. And I said,
red flag.
Red flag. But yeah, the way people treat people like in friendships, I'm even keen to looking at that, because you know the way you present yourself in real time in front of me, it's very easy to fake that, right? So if at the very least fake it in person and be shitty behind closed doors, but if you're shitty in open doors, I'm like, oh my god, what you doing behind the doors?
Yeah,
some real dirt.
Yes. No, that's even strangers. Like you go out to eat with somebody, you're like, oh, you want some more water? I got you. Anything you want? So and so. Then the waitress comes by. What took you so long? Why you thinking? Where's our food? It's cold. Oh my God, I'm gonna burn this place down. Oh, you're good. You want some more water? So and so. It's like, no, be mindful of that, because how people treat strangers and whatnot is, it's reflective. And we like to think that we're so special. Like, oh, they treat everyone else like crap, but they treat me so nice.
Oh, that part. Wow.
They just like me so much. Everybody else, no. You just, it's not your turn yet. You gotta wait your turn.
Yes.
They're still trying to soften you up, put all the coconut oil on you and all that. So.
Wow. And karate chop and quite literally stab you in the back.
Yes.
That's the back there massaging.
That's the massage, right? And then the stab in the back. It's like, what was that? Yeah. The knife in the back. So I would throw in at this point, check out healingtoxicrelationships.com. In the book Healing Toxic Relationships 101, the subtitle is a course for recognizing and purifying toxic relationships. I actually wrote it from being on another person's podcast who invited me, who was her daughter was actually killed in a domestic abuse situation, and
God bless.
We were talking about that and the situation, everything building up, and I think someone mentioned, like, wouldn't it be good if we had a course in how to recognize these toxic patterns and stuff before they get to that point? I'm like, yeah, we should. I'm like, I should write something like that. And they're like, yeah, Na'im, you should. Like, you know what? I'm gonna write something. Yeah. So that book came out of that, and it's a book, but it's also a course. It's an actual, like, recognizing the subtle. Then this is, I would say, the main difference between this and most domestic violence or abuse material you'll read is that we identify two types of abuse: subtle and direct or obvious. And so with financial abuse, you would say obvious abuse is you have money in your pocket. I'm like, give me your money before I kill you. And then I take your money. That's like, okay, they robbed you, took your $100. Directly. But a subtle form of financial abuse would be they order stuff off of your card or your Amazon.
Or borrow something.
Or borrow, never give it back.
Yeah.
Or use your car and bring the tank empty all the time.
Yeah.
All of those red flags, by the way, it's all of those subtle things. It's like they're overlookable. It's something that anyone could excuse. Like, okay, yeah, that just happened, but it keeps happening. Those are red flags, and you have to recognize that someone saying they care about you, they don't let things like that just happen.
Yeah.
And also the whole, I call it PAL, P-A-L, promise, apologize, lie. You'll see narcissists and sociopaths do this where they promise you something. I'll never do that again, right? Then they'll apologize for what they've done. Oh, I'm sorry. So sorry. I know I gave you a black eye, but I'm so sorry. Here's some flowers, here's some whatever. And then they'll lie about what they're doing. So they'll...
No, and I'm laughing because it's too real.
Yeah, that's how they try to be a pal. They promise, apologize, lie. So remember that. To be a pal, to be a selfish asshole, what you do is promise, apologize, lie. That's what it is. They do.
To be read up and down when you just thought you were gonna, sit down with a friend and film a podcast. It's special as well as it is just like heartbreaking. like God diggity, the pal. This motherfucker was my pal for real, right?
Oh boy, yeah.
Oh my gosh. And it's funny because it's like we know these things, right? But not everyone can put language to it. And that's what you do, I feel. Like you put language, and Na'im loves a good acronym, as you can see. Loves a great acronym. Putting language to it makes it that much more real and also seems like a realistic thing to tackle. When it's like this big scary monster and you don't have language to put to it, you don't have, therefore you don't have steps to kind of move out of it and push through it. Whereas like you give the steps, I feel like, and you recognize the situations and, just saying again, you give language to it. Your camera just
went out, so yours might be on its way. So we might need to check that. But I think we're still good if you want to finish what you were saying.
Yeah, so I mean that's just that on that. I feel like I want to plug everything and anything Na'im. So is there a Facebook page? Are there other socials besides the website and the podcast that they can find you?
All of that can be found on the website under contact and media, the other media. So there's a few YouTube channels, there's a Facebook page, there's we're working on Instagram. I don't have that available right now, but all of the stuff, that's why I give the website, because everything can be found there. So the Amazon with all the books, the contact, the social media, all that stuff, the podcast is on there.
Great.
And it's the easiest website to healing toxic relationships.
I know. Come on, it's too easy. Come on now.
Come on.
You gotta be kidding me, literally. I'm so thankful for you sharing your time with not only me, but everyone who is watching and who will watch. Because I think, like I said, not everyone has the words, and a lot of people don't have the tools. And this is if it helps one person, it helps me. So.
Yes. And thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing and giving. That's, again, courage is not when you are feeling great and safe and all. It's when you're vulnerable, you're afraid, but you still do. You don't know how many people you're helping just by doing this, and I want to appreciate you for that. So thank you. Thank you for sharing your story and for inviting me to come on.
Yeah. So I'll have Na'im back. It's not the last time you'll see us together. I mean,
and you're coming on mine one day.
Oh my gosh, I would love to. Yeah. So we will be back with a new topic. I mean, now I want to pick up a book and come back.
Okay, so
Yeah,
I'll see if I can send you home with one. I got a couple over here. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So, and I love a good soft cover. I need to be able to bend it. It needs to be able to, work with me, not against me. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Especially I feel like when you're in transit, a hardcover is hard to deal with.
Yes. Well, consider this your first.
Thank you.
Book from me.
So, okay, before we leave them, if we're still even going, what is Cult 101? The one you're gifting me, what is that acronym?
Control, unloving, lies, and trauma, which is...
this is going to be it. Woo!
Which the whole point of that book is that a relationship with two people can be a cult. And that's what I want. So I break down what a cult is and all that, and I ultimately bring it back to the point. Is your relationship a cult? Are you afraid to leave? Is there control in there? Is there trauma? Is there lies? And that's what that comes down
all
to.
right. I'm going to need to decompress. I'm going to need to decompress from this one. I'm going to need, some time in the car alone before my next destination. A sparking of sorts.
Palo Santo.
They wish it was Palo Santo in the car, but that ain't the aroma that will be coming from my car. But yes, I'm so excited about this. Thank you. Yes, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do my research. Today I came with questions about me and for other people, but I definitely want to come back once I get this read on. And I honestly I feel like all of your books are similar in thickness, and the way it's written out is just so matter of fact. I feel like there's no way to really get lost.
I make it very bite-sized. You see a lot of charts in there. It's just very easy to approach, because I see a bunch of words on the page. I feel intimidated personally. So I want it to be easy. Someone reads the page, and next thing you know, 40 seconds later, you're on another page. A minute later, you're like, oh, I'm getting through this. The chapters are short. The information is straight to the point. It's not, well, one day Jack and Jill went up a hill. And it's like, we don't need to talk about it. Was Jack abusing Jill, and was Jill scared to leave the relationship? All right, it's a cult. Now let's move on. Let's
get out of here.
We don't need to hear the whole story.
Yeah. No, this is very true. I love it. I can't wait to get through it. And because it's like this, because it's not so convoluted, I feel like it's an easy resource to revisit.
Yes.
Whereas you're trying to skim through the anecdotes, and it's like, all right, well, where's the part that I liked, and where's the part that I really wanted to remember? And
the part that is about me, that feels like it's about me. The most common word in all of my books is this word, you. Y-O-U, because it's about you. There's no I, Na'im Najieb. The most you'll see is about the author, but it's about you, and you meaning all of us, and the things that contribute to a healthy or a toxic relationship that you, meaning all of us, may or may not be in. That's it. So you have to be, my rule is you have to be able to find yourself in the book if it's going to relate. Jack and Jill may not relate, but you can relate.
Wow. This is a beautiful place to end it off. Thank you so much.
Thank you, really. Hope you enjoy your decompression.
I know, I'm going to need it.